Welcome back to the IU427 garage, everybody. Today we are working on the King's Cobra, and we're still working on body panels. So let me bring you right back. We'll take a look, see what we're looking at. We're going to finish up that hood, and we got some other things to do too. All right, as I finished up the last video, I just reached my limit on the hood. I got it installed back in the car after moving the hardware into the proper orientation, moving the bushings to the spot that they needed to be on the hood hinge arms, and I got it fitting pretty good. So I'm gonna give you a quick peek. So the margins around, and all I did on the one side was I just kind of straightened out this line where it had that hump, and I've got it fitting pretty good here at the front, so I'm gonna leave it alone. Again, just like the trunk deck lid, I'm not gonna add any bulb seal or weather seal around the perimeter of the hood. I'm just gonna add a couple of bumpers, probably in about 4 or 5 inches from each of the latches for the hood, and that's gonna take care of this gap right here. So you can see the body right here is taller than the actual hood. So by putting a couple bumpers here and over on the other side, it'll lift this area up, and it'll also allow over time, as the car owner drives this and it sits in the sun, it'll allow the center of the hood to kind of relax and fall into place where it needs to be. Because if you look at it right now, there's a couple of high spots. So like right in here, it's a little bit high. Those will all kind of relax themselves out over time, and the hood will start to take the shape of the opening of the front of the car. The next thing that I'm working on, or the first thing that I'm working on today, is getting the cutouts for the louvers done. And this is an extremely messy job. So what I did is, let me see, where did I put that thing? I've got a template around here somewhere that I'm using to cut these out. So here's the template I'm using. And basically it's just a mirror image. So I've got top marked on both sides. So for instance, on this side, the top goes this way. And on the other side of the car, the top orients that way. And I made this louver template just for this project. But after this car goes home, I'm probably gonna make a major tool investment for the shop here. And depending on how things go, I'm probably gonna start investing a little bit more time in products to sell. And I don't know if that's something that any of you would be interested in, because I'll be able to make those templates for the louver cutouts. I'll also be able to make our trunk access covers and some other of the aluminum panels, the smaller ones that we make and sell, a lot quicker and a lot more consistent. So I'm thinking that that might be one of the products we sell. Let me know if you're interested in it. If you're not interested, I may make a few anyway and just put them up for sale and see if anybody buys them. But it actually worked out really well right here. The louver opening was kind of jagged, and it was quite a bit smaller because the louver openings on the car are actually made for the folding style louvers that come with the base kit. So we have a set of the louvers in our aluminum panels box that's upstairs that came from the car owner. But I can't remember a project or a job that we've used those on. So every project that we've done has gotten the premium louvers, to the best of my recollection. Don't quote me on that, because I don't know, maybe one or two of the first cars that we didn't do the premium louvers. I just don't remember. And without having any video of it, I couldn't tell you for sure. But I don't think I've ever finished one with the fold down flat louvers that come supplied with the base kit. Anyways, I used the template. I traced those out. I think I showed you guys all that in a previous video. But then today what I did with a combination of tools, I cut this out. So what I had done is on all the straight cuts, and so you get a straight cut here on the bottom. This is somewhat straight, and so is this one. So what I did is I trimmed it within the lines that I had drawn, and I used the angle grinder and a death wheel. Now I'm gonna give you this warning. If you're gonna use an angle grinder and a death wheel, do not use a brand new death wheel. The outer diameter is gonna spin faster than if you have a smaller diameter disc that's used. So I used a disc that I had in the grinder already. It had been reduced from about 4.5 inches down to 3.5 inches, or maybe 3.25 inches. It doesn't spin as quick. I mean, the RPM of the tool is the same, but the speed at which the outside of that disc is faster because it's larger. And what happens with those discs, and this is a metal cutting disc that I was using, they will overheat and the thing will just explode on you. So keep that in mind if you're gonna cut this out the way I did. You can use a smaller angle grinder, like what are they, the little angled die grinders that you can hook up to your compressor, and they have little 3-inch wheels, but they spin pretty fast too. So just keep that in mind when you're cutting fiberglass with a death wheel, that there's really not a death wheel that's designed to cut fiberglass or plastic, and they tend to get really hot and then they will just shatter on you, so be careful. So same thing over here. I used the angle grinder to cut all the straight cuts. So here, here, and here, on the back. Then what I did to get that material out, meaning I couldn't cut all the way down to the corners where they were rounded. So what I did is I grabbed this tool right here, and I finished the cuts as far as I could with this, so they were square on the end. And then what I did is I cross-cut them. So as a for instance, this cut right here only came to about here. And so I squared it up with this, and then I came down from the top to get that piece out, and I did the same thing over here to remove this piece, this piece, this piece, and this piece. And all I was left with was these unfinished corners to grind down smooth. And so then what I did is I went down to a rotary tool. I used my right angle drill and 2 drum sanding attachments. So I used this drum sanding attachment for all of the areas where I could get in a diameter like this. This is 1.5 inch diameter. Now, even in the areas where I couldn't, this does a good job taking the material down quickly so that you can finish it up with the smaller one. And this one is awesome because, one, this tool isn't spinning that fast. The RPM of this is only about 900 RPM. And so you can be really careful with it and not overdo it and get this cutout really smooth. Like, I think I'm gonna probably go around this one more time with that, that smaller drum sander and just kind of clean it up, and then I'll wipe it all down. You can see I still got some of the black marker on the top here. So you can see I undercut these just so that they wouldn't be too big. And this is just to give the body and paint guy a starting point. And we'll be able to put the louvers in and they'll look real nice. You know, the owner will have a fully functioning Cobra replica when we're done, minus paint. So everything on the car will be on the car the way it's supposed to be. and he'll be having a certain pride of ownership when he drives it around. The only thing missing will be the paint. So that's where I'm at today. I'm pretty much done with all the fiberglass cutouts for right now. I will have to enlarge the windshield mounting holes, and I think we'll probably get to that next week, in next week's video. And I'm gonna have to fine tune the cutouts for the exhaust. And we'll do that once the windshield's in and the pool noodle is put in between the body and the chassis, and probably right before we put the splash shields in for the front. You can see, and I've cleaned up quite a bit, but you can see all this fiberglass that is just everywhere. And I did my best to contain it. I had the vacuum going while I was doing my cut, so I finished cutting over on this side. And you can see I've got the vacuum right here. So I was using the vacuum while I was cutting, and then I vacuumed everything up, you know, intermittently in between each process that I was doing on those side louvers. So that's where I'm at today. I'll be back in the shop tomorrow. I'm probably gonna finish up those hood latches tomorrow. And then I'll start prepping for the windshield. And then I think the windshield will probably be in next week's video, but I'll see you guys tomorrow. It is the next day, and I've begun work on the hood latches. We've been having pop-up thunderstorms in the area all afternoon, and so it's really muggy in the shop. I've had the big door open. You can see I just rolled it down, so the light on the opener is still on. But I spent some time this afternoon. It's evening now, and I got the hood latches all in and adjusted. So I'm going to go over everything really quick with you. But I got a question a while back. I don't know whether it was in the comments section or whether it was an email, and someone said, "Why do you have so many drills?" Well, I have them because I have them. There's really no other explanation, but I will show you. Just in putting these hood latches on, I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different drills, and that was just so that I didn't have to keep changing bits throughout the process, because everything you do on one side, you're going to have to do on the other side. And you waste a lot of time, you know, running back to the toolbox and changing out bits and everything just to put that bit back on when you do the other side. So I just tend to just load each bit into another drill and do it, and then, you know, kind of done. But I start off with an 1/8 inch drill bit, and I'll show you when I get over to the car what I use this one for. But basically this is my initial drill to drill into the body for the brackets that go underneath the body. And I use this to drill through the fiberglass and to dimple the aluminum, which is the like the L metal, the aluminum L metal that goes under there for the latch or the catch. And so I do that first, and then in the fiberglass only, I go ahead and I drill it out to a 3/16. And that's just so that the stainless screws that go in there to hold those together don't have to like cut through the fiberglass as well. Then I use a countersink bit to countersink the heads of the oval head screws that hold those pieces of aluminum in. Then I go ahead and I drive those in with a Phillips tip on the end of my impact driver. And lastly, I needed this little bit. I think it's a 3/64 bit, and that was to install my bumpers. So I've got some rubber bumpers over here underneath the body. I'm going to go ahead and open this one. Up until this point, I didn't have to mess with the handles, and I can actually reach when the car's not on the lift, but it's on the lift, and it's kind of the way it is. So here's that one. And then, so to drill for these little bumpers, I use a number 4 stainless steel oval head screw. That size screw does not come with your kit as it's delivered. I use these same screws for the roll bar trim rings. And if depending on when you got your kit will determine whether or not the number 8 oval head screws that you get with your kit actually fit in here. You might find that when you go to put them in, they just kind of lock in and you can't screw them in anymore. And that's because the hole on the inside of these is so small in diameter. But here's what I do first. So you can see I already had the handles in previously. And what I did is I moved these back so that the handles were facing directly back towards the back of the car. And, you know, it lined up to where they looked like they were going straight back. And I made a mark with a black magic marker. Now, if you're doing this on a painted body, all you have to do is lay down some masking tape and then make your mark on your masking tape. I did that on both sides, so you can see it over here as well. There's a mark on the fiberglass right there. And what that mark does is it gives me a center point for these brackets, these L-metal brackets that go right underneath here. And you can see, so that black mark is centered on that piece of aluminum. And then I hold it in place, kind of like this. And then I drill down with that 1/8 inch drill bit, and I kind of just eye these where I think they're going to be centered both on the fiberglass and on the metal bracket below. And I drill through the fiberglass and I just dimple the aluminum in both spots. So you got to be careful not to move the piece as you're drilling. And then I pull the aluminum piece out, I take it over to the bench and I drill it through with the 1/8 inch drill bit so that those screws go all the way through, because an 1/8 inch hole is just about perfect for those number 8 sheet metal screws that they give you in your kit to pull all that stuff together. So like I said, once I get those drilled with the 1/8 inch drill bit, then what I do is I go in with a 3/16 drill bit and I drill just the fiberglass with the 3/16 bit. And that allows these screws to just drop right in place. But when they go into the aluminum, they'll start to thread in. And then I follow that up with a countersink bit. And then on the countersink bit, you're just going to have to kind of go by feel when you think you're deep enough, and then drop the screw in, see if it's to the point where it's even or flush with the top. And then if it's not, obviously countersink some more. But when you get them where you want them, go ahead and screw these into the aluminum piece on the bottom. You can start them by hand with just a regular Phillips screwdriver, but you're going to find that it's pretty tight in there, and I'd rather have those screws tight than to drill them to the next drill size and then have them work themselves loose later. So I just go ahead and I grab the impact driver with a Phillips tip, and I drive those home, and then no problems. The last thing that I do is, as I said before, I grab a couple of those bumpers with some number 4 sheet metal screws, and about 4 inches, I think it was 4 1/4, from my center line here, this way, is where the center of my bumper is going to go. Now as you pull the hood down, you're going to find that the hood is high on the outsides. So there's a ridge right here. But push down on the hood, lock the duck feet or duck bills or whatever we call those things onto the latch so it goes under that metal piece, and these are straight back, and it's going to pull the corner of the hood down. Now you can see it raised up the other side a little bit, but by the time we, so you can see the gap right there, but by the time we go ahead and we pull this one down in place, that gap's going to go away, and it's going to be a nice even corner on the edge here. And you can see we've got, you know, pretty even margins around the entire hood. The hood's going to settle down in place as it's out in the sun more and more. It's going to kind of conform to the body. But one thing I will tell you, if you're going to go ahead and put some like a D-shaped bulb seal around the outside of your hood, don't go any farther than about here. So basically just behind the hinge. Don't put any bulb seal around that whole area from side to side. Because what's going to happen as you go to close the hood kind of does this as it's going into the front because of the way the scissor action on the hinges is. And it'll go down just enough to catch that bulb seal, and it'll pry it right off. So there's no sense in putting anything on the front because the hinges actually keep it up off of the body so that it doesn't rub. But from that point back, you can go all the way around to your bumper and then go in between your 2 bumpers, and then from your bumper all the way down to that same point on the other side. And that'll give you a nice firm seal for the hood. This is like after you're painted. And it'll keep a lot of the dust and all that stuff from getting in the area of the hood too. So it helps with a couple of things, but it just looks cleaner when you're all done. The reason we're not going to put it in here is because obviously we're driving in gel coat for a while. So the bumpers will do exactly what we need them to do for the time being. And then when the owner gets it painted, then he can finish off the hood area with some bulb seal and it'll be really nice. I've actually been working on a bunch of other things on the car that, you know, I posted on social media, really aren't photo worthy and obviously they're not video worthy either. I'm just, you know, I'm strapping up emergency brake cables and going over some of the nutting and bolting in the back and the midsection of the car. So for you guys to see me do that, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You don't want anything hanging on the ground, and obviously you don't want anything hanging in an area like the drive shaft where it'll get caught up in that. So that's kind of what I've been doing the last couple of days besides what I'm including in the videos. I'll probably get the rear view mirror mounted in the car, and that's this one here. But I haven't talked to the owner about side view mirrors, so I'm gonna mount that mirror before the windshield goes in on this one, because obviously it's easier to do when you're not having to deal with a windshield. But and I'm just going to center it on this center screw of the dash right here. So it probably will have to move when the owner gets the car painted, because the stripe might be in a different location. Obviously you want the mirror to line up with the stripe, not with, you know, some random screw on the dash. So we'll deal with that. But I've got to talk to the owner about a couple of things. I've got to talk to him about the side view mirror, whether he wants me to just put the one that came with the kit screwed into the body, or whether we're going to look at some aftermarket solution, because honestly, the mirror that comes with the kit and the position that it's in really only gives you a view of the rear fender right here. So all you're going to see in your rear view mirror is the fender, and it doesn't give you really any view of any traffic over here. So I'm going to see if maybe the owner wants to pop for some of those peep mirrors that we use a lot. I don't think he has wind wings or sun visors. I didn't see any upstairs. So we'll be able to place the mirrors anywhere on the windshield post that works the best, and we won't have to contend with any wind wings. So I'm going to talk to him about that. And I've got some other products that I'm working on that I'm not going to show you guys quite yet, but I'm going to see if he wants me to do those on his car as well. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video here. You guys will probably see the windshield being installed in the next video, and whatever I kind of have left on the car. We're coming down to the very end. I still have to corner weight the car. I want to put some miles on the car. I actually want to bed the brakes and do some other things, but I want the car kind of as finished as I can to that point, so that when we take it out on the street, I don't have to worry about you know, getting pulled over for one thing. But I'm just driving it back here on one of the service roads, and there's no traffic there, so I think we'll be good. Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the content here, as always, please do the like, the share, the subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.